One of the biggest questions that we get asked is how do you calculate the number of carbohydrates in your food? So in today's video, Pat and I are going to go through with you step by step, how
Mm.
would you calculate and make sure that your total day doesn't go over 20 grams? Hello, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat. So in the last couple of weeks, we did two videos on showing you guys what 20 grams of carbs from different food looks like. We're going to show you how to measure it.
The first thing that you need is some kind of kitchen scale. As long as it's large enough to hold your plate and you're able to see the numbers on it, like that's the major thing that you're looking for, and that it can weigh a good amount of food. So this one, for example, can, I believe, weigh up to 3 pounds of something,
Which should be more than
which
enough.
is more than enough for most things that you're going to weigh. I will say though, if you're cooking large batches, it's still a good enough scale.
The second thing you're going to need is either an app or your website of choice that's going to tell you how many carbs are in the food you're going to eat. For example, like how many carbs are in a tomato. There's a few, like I think you use Chronometer. I was using Lose It like in the past.
The number one thing I'm going to say about the app is for you to know what you're tracking. Are you tracking total or are you tracking net? For example, part of the reason that I like Chronometer is since I was tracking net, there's a section where you scroll down and it allows you to see how much total carb as well that you had been eating. You're getting both sets of information. It allows me to be a bit more careful in what I'm doing.
I would maybe pick an app that has a good food library. I know that both we're talking about, they have a huge library of food, sometimes even duplicated because people can submit their own food, but at least like you can find what you're looking for.
Along with the databases on Chronometer, they have USDA as well as another one called NCCDB, and there's another one called ESHA. I do believe when it's a user that puts in the numbers, there's a different something there as well.
Okay. And maybe one last thing, pick an app that allows you to save your meals, your food, your recipes, because you'll see after some time you're gonna track the same food, so it's gonna be easy.
So let's look at how we actually do it. We decide what we're going to eat. On a typical day, I'm going to eat some avocado and a piece of meat and some cheese. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to, before you've cooked your meat, wait and see what it was. Let's say I have a pork chop. So I search through my list and I see pork chops, loin, fresh, visible fat eaten. That's what I'm choosing because I eat the fat. And today we're going to say that I had a 7-ounce pork chop. And I put done. So right away, when I put that in, it says no carbs yet. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add that avocado. So right away it comes up. Now I do this all the time. So avocado, it's 136 gram avocado, which is a large if I remember correctly. And so I'm going to add one. So because I'm going to eat the whole thing. And then it's added to my diary. Now Chronometer in net is telling me that I've had 2.4 grams of carbs. I have to add the cheese. Let's say that I have Gouda and it remembers 100 grams of Gouda. Add that to my diary. And then we're going to say that I have, because I never have one, and I'm going to add Swiss because that's the other one that I love. For my plate that I just made for myself, I have 9.2 net grams of carbs. If I would like to know what that is in total, when I click on it, I get taken to my daily report. And when I get down to carbohydrates, it's telling me that in fact, that's 18.5 total for the entire day.
Yeah. Just to remind Wellness Warrior that you have one meal per day. So that would be like your solid food for the day, but you have your coffee in the morning. So
yeah. Okay. So let's add my coffee in because again, that's what I do. My coffee, I have 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. So heavy. And the nice thing about these apps is they remember. I didn't even have to write the whole word in. And there's my heavy cream. And I tell it that it's going to be 2 tablespoons. And I put done. And I add to the diary. And now I'm at 10 net carb for the day. So if we look again at that as a daily report, my carbs just went up to 19.3. And this is a very important thing for us to keep in mind because if you're doing total versus net, this really matters. So let's try inputting your meal and see how that would look different.
So let's say, for example, we just even brought like some vegetable and I would make myself a steak. I would probably have like a third with probably the whole tomato though. 125 grams of cucumber.
And we're at 3 net carb. Okay, so tomato,
Sorry.
90 grams.
90 grams.
Okay.
I think I would put some olive oil, maybe 2 tablespoons.
So, and then how much meat?
10-ounce steak, maybe. Let's go with a sirloin.
So your net is 5.3. For your day, it's going to be 8.
But let's add some yogurt. So full fat yogurt.
Okay.
Coffees. So, but I'm adding only 2 tablespoons of heavy cream to the coffee. I would have a piece of cheese, put 100 grams, and some peanut butter in the yogurt. Probably 2 tablespoons.
So we're at 15.3 net, and if we do the total, it goes to 18.6.
18.6. Okay. I honestly thought that the tomato was like more.
It was bigger?
Was not bigger. That had more carbs.
One of the interesting things that Pat mentioned earlier is that once I've created this day, I can copy the day if it repeats, which my meal like that repeats often because you guys know how much I love cooking. That's an easy thing. Now, what we didn't put on here is the spices that we put on our meats. So again, I could take the time and show you like putting in all the spices, but it doesn't change the numbers very much for me. Does it change the numbers much for you? This like way of doing it is going to take you initially some time to get all those typical meals in, and then you can copy paste, and subtract or add depending on how your actual day went. However, I will say the actual amounts you might need to go in and tweak. So like for example, I said I put a 7-ounce piece of meat there, but sometimes I might have a 5, sometimes I might have 10. Well, my avocado usually stays about the same, and my olive stays the same. But the amount of cheese I put might change. One day I might be less hungry, one day I might be more hungry. So the amount of cheese I put can sometimes change.
That's interesting because you play, you say that, but you play with the food that has less carbs and are higher in fats. So like they're not gonna change really the amount of carbs you're gonna have throughout the day.
Okay, and so why am I saying that? Because Wellness Warriors, today we're answering the question: how do you guys track how much carb? But we track everything. Why? Not to lose weight, not for our health in that way. It's more for problem solving down the road. Sincerely, I lost all of my weight. Tracking for sure, yes, but not necessarily paying attention to anything more than make sure my carbs are under 20. Why? That was what was making my hip feel better. But I do understand that there are people who don't have a physical something that they're trying to solve, that you're actually trying to lose weight. When you're trying to lose weight, the ability to problem solve anything that might be going wrong means that I need to know how much fat and I need to know how much protein. Like for example, if you're going to the gym like this dude does, then when you're in the gym, if I'm not eating enough protein and I'm tired and then I'm trying to figure out why, well, I can look back in my tracker and go, oh my gosh, for some reason I wasn't getting enough meat. How food impacts you is so important, and we need to be able to look and see what's what.
Just to come back a little bit on the spices, if you're more like a sauce user, barbecue sauce, like ketchup, and you're still using those, they need to go in the app because they're higher in carb.
The bigger point today is it's not that hard. Wellness Warriors, that's what I'm trying to show you right now. And especially if you just put everything in and try your best to cook similarly each time, you don't have to. I mean, you could take the 5 minutes to track things as you, how many times, because he does not cook the same way that I cook, did I come to his place and we sat together and he just told me what he put in and how much and whatever. And I made a recipe, which is the other nice thing that that chronometer allows you to do, is that you can create a recipe, and then I was able to calculate out how much of it Violet ate. The same thing for him. If I made something that was a big amount, then I would just tell him, okay, how much of it he got so that he can put it in his app, right? So he could track for himself. So it's not hard. It's what's kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you still have in your app, like when we have the gigantic Caesar salad? This is a huge bowl of Caesar salad. We have around 200 to 250 grams of romaine lettuce, some full-fat Caesar dressings, 2 slices of bacon, and 2 ounces of cheese. Whether for me, I like Parmesan, you like feta. And we add meat. We add 8 ounces of meat.
Obviously, that gigantic salad, which I know we will always love to eat because it's just delicious. But that gigantic salad only has 5 grams of carbs. If your goal is to get to 20 grams of carbs or less, the number one thing is to track. When I'm tracking, I'm going to know whether I'm hitting that goal or not. And if I'm over by how much. And I really can't stress enough that it's important to know where I am. I said at the beginning, when I started this lifestyle and I found out that the sugar was hurting me, the first thing I did wasn't cut sugar out. It was really track my food and see, is it possible I was actually eating how much sugar they were telling me that I was eating? To see that, yes, the numbers net were coming at 350. Scary numbers, right? So I think that the tracking helps us. It allows us to be in that position where, if I happen to go over and I'm 30 or 40, then I'm going to be there. I'm going to be aware, and I'm going to understand if I'm stalled, if I'm in pain, if there's a problem happening. Can I point something else out, which I think we both do, but I know for sure that I do? I track before I eat. Why? Because if I track after I eat, I've already eaten it. Now, I encourage everybody to do that. Today, the meals, you see what kind of meals I'm making. There's so little bit of carb in it. It's, I know for sure that I'm not going over. It's important for you to know what you're doing, guys. Wellness warriors, this is your health we're talking about.
And like what helps with tracking, if you have a tendency, like even me before having like the 2 French fries when you were serving your kids the French fries, or the bite of ice cream, you think twice about putting it in your log. It makes you think about it twice, like before putting it.
Because it keeps you honest, right? Like those 2 French fries, that spoon of ice cream that we think is no big deal. When you find out that 3 French fries is like, I think 5 grams of carbs, if I remember correctly, it starts to make you really pause about what you're doing, because this is not a game. It's not that I'm just trying to lose weight. It's that every carbohydrate that I allow in takes my blood away from the 5 that it's desperately trying to keep me up, because that's the healthy number. It's one of the reasons that I think we need to pay more attention to the fact that protein and fat does not impact my carb blood scenario. We don't take this seriously enough, guys. That as soon as my mouth tastes sugar, my body is fighting against this, should make us all scared, because there's certain companies that act like it's not a big deal. It's a big deal.
And if you're not comfortable with like technology, phones or tablets or computer, you still have the labels on the food you purchase that going to be helpful. The only thing that could be problematic is if you go in the fresh, like the salad, the vegetables, oftentimes you don't have the labels. I don't know, maybe they assume they're all healthy. Be careful with those.
So what I'm going to say is that if you're going old school, like you're saying, and we're going to be using the labels, we're going to do more of a traditional Dr. Berg style situation here, where we're going to say any low glycemic vegetable, you're going to allow yourself to have more of. So that, and a low glycemic vegetable is any vegetable that doesn't taste the least bit sweet. Any of the leafy vegetables are going to fall into that range. And then all the meats, we're going to go with Dr. DeBerry's idea. Again, free reign. And you're going to, now obviously, I think the most important thing is Dr. Westman's talk. I'm naming all my favorite people here. Eat to satiation. But then, of course, like we said earlier, the scale becomes your friend, right? We're going to use that scale. We're going to weigh things. We're still going to track things. How much of X did I eat? And why are we doing it? We're not doing the whole calculator thing. Why am I doing it? Anything else that you have a label on, you still need to know how much carb is in that. And then how much veg I ate is going to be important, because now, honestly, you could use the internet and find out how much carb is in stuff. But if you're really not computer savvy, at least if I know I had 2 tomatoes today or 3 tomatoes today, and all of a sudden I'm feeling blah, then I'm going to know, like, if I don't normally have tomatoes, that's playing a role. We want to track everything. We want to be able to go back and verify what affected me and what didn't affect me. So I do encourage using some kind of tracker. Get your kids to help you. It's not that hard.
These are not, I don't think I would consider them low glycemic vegetables. Like, I think the real safe bet would be lettuce, but like then again, part of your plate, you don't want the main part of it to be vegetable. You want like the main part of it to be proteins, and like the fun stuff should occupy minimal space on your plate, and you should in that case never really be over your carb.
Can I point out, like, because you're talking about low glycemic vegetables, when you taste a tomato, it's sweet. When you eat cucumber, it's sweetish. We need to kind of let ourselves tap into what our mouth is telling us. Now, I guarantee you, if I'm eating chocolate bars, this does not taste sweet. But this is where, when you put those other process garbage down, then you start to be able to tell that, wow, woo, this got some sweetness to it, right? I've said it a billion times. I never thought that I would have called a cashew sweet until today. I eat them and it's like, and I'm chasing too. It's not even just that I like the taste. I'm chasing because there's so much sweetness in there and I just want it. There's a video on the screen right there. It's going to help you to read those food labels a little bit better. Wellness Warrior is always so happy that you come back, and everybody who's new, welcome.
If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and ring the bell for the next one.
I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition.
Talk to you next week.
Can't wait to talk to you again next week.